Okay, so let's start with a thought experiment. It's maybe a little uncomfortable, but I think it's really important for this deep dive. If I could, right now, open your bank app and just scroll through the last 30 days of transactions, what would that list actually say about you? I mean, would it reflect a person who is genuinely, calm and organized with their money? Or, be honest with yourself here, would it look more like a person who's kind of low-key freaking out?
Oh, yeah.
And maybe trying to self-soothe with a lot of DoorDash and a steady stream of those late-night Amazon purchases. Because that distinction right there, that's where this whole conversation begins. For so many of us, that cold, hard list of transactions, it's not a record of rational decisions. It's more like a panic diary. It's the, I deserve this purchases. It's the little hits of dopamine you chase when you're bored or tired or just anxious after a really long day. And the real conflict, the misalignment, is this. Deep down, you know you want to be what we'll call future you. Future you is the traveler, the generous friend, the organized person who knows their money systems are actually working for them. But your current spending, that long trail of digital breadcrumbs, is showing that you're just defaulting to present you. The version of you that's stressed, easily distracted, just swiping for that immediate comfort. So the mission of our deep dive today is to move past the math. This isn't about another budget template. It's about asking a much deeper, more fundamental identity question. Is this how the person I want to be spends their money? We're going to introduce this idea that every single purchase you make is like a tiny vote, a vote for a version of yourself. The question is, are you consistently casting your financial votes for the future identity you dream about? Or are you just voting for the default version that's trying to survive the week? Hey friends, and welcome back to The Deep Dive. This is the show where we extract the most powerful nuggets of knowledge and insight to help you make sense of the world. Today we are digging deep into that intersection of identity and finance. How to stop letting your habits dictate your money story and start, proactively using your money to build the identity you actually desire. And to guide us through this blend of behavioral economics and financial therapy, I brought in the perfect expert. She has spent years working with clients who are intellectually, they're brilliant, educated people, but they feel completely demoralized by their own money habits because of this exact misalignment.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so passionate about this topic because it's universal. And I have to confess, I came to this work through a lot of personal failure.
Oh, the best teachers often do.
Well, I spent my early 20s in what I now, affectionately call my smart and broke era.
I think I had one of those too.
I think we all did. I had the degrees, I knew the concepts, compounding interest, rational choice, all of it.
Really?
But personally, my money life was a complete disaster. I was the absolute queen of the brunch 3 times a week and then wonder why I can't afford a travel club.
Oh my gosh, that is so relatable. That paradox is what's so frustrating for people, right? They feel like, I'm smart enough to know better, so why am I not doing better?
Exactly. And that feeling, that shame is precisely what keeps people stuck. For me, the misalignment was so stark. I wanted to be this professional who was financially secure. That was the identity I craved. But my daily choices, the impulse shopping, the constant need for these little external rewards, they were all wired for short-term relief. My money was just reinforcing the identity of someone who lives transaction to transaction.
So intellectually, you were voting for future successful economist, but behaviorally, with your actual wallet, you were voting every single day for present stressed consumer.
That's it, exactly. And the real shock, the aha moment that led me to this work was realizing that my spending wasn't driven by math. It wasn't about necessity. It was driven entirely by my emotional coping mechanisms.
Let's anchor this whole episode right there. Can you paint that picture for us?
Yeah.
The specific moment that dissonance really hit you, the moment you realized the person you said you were and the person your credit card bill described were two totally different people.
I remember it so vividly. It was after this long, exhausting month at work, and I had promised myself, I promised my spreadsheet, that this was the month. This was the month I would finally fund my Roth IRA and start a real savings account for a big trip.
Big promise. We've all made it.
Right. I felt so disciplined for the first 2 weeks. I was on track. But then, stress hit. A project went sideways, and I got my credit card statement, and I just sat there on my couch scrolling. And it wasn't one huge catastrophic purchase that would have been almost easier to explain.
It was the little things.
It was the death by 1,000 cuts, the aggregation of convenience and comfort. I saw 3 separate seamless orders because I was just too tired to cook, an expensive, totally unnecessary sweater I bought online during a moment of boredom, a forgotten gym membership that auto-renewed that I hadn't used in months.
Yeah.
The final tally for just discretionary spending was so high, and then I looked at the line item for savings, for investing.
Yeah.
It was zero.
Zero. Wow, that's a loud number.
It hits you right in the gut. Because in that instant, I had to confront the reality that I was not practicing the behavior of the person who prioritized long-term security. I was, day in and day out, prioritizing immediate, fleeting emotional comfort. And that's the core question we're really grappling with today. Are you spending like the intentional person you want to be? Or are you spending like the exhausted person you default into when life gets overwhelming?
That distinction is so critical. And it clarifies that this isn't about judging consumption itself. We're not telling you to go live like a monk.
Absolutely not. This work is about alignment, not rigid deprivation. It means we get to spend money on things that bring us genuine, lasting joy. Things that align with our core values. It's about spending guilt-free, because that spending is actually supporting the identity we're trying to cultivate. The goal is just to ensure that your choices, in aggregate, support the version of you that makes you proud, not the version that leaves you with that awful feeling of shame and regret.
Okay, let's transition into our first section then. The money mirror and this idea of identity-based spending. Because, as we've just established, money is so much more than a ledger of math problems. It's a profound reflection of self.
That's exactly right. Money is a tool, and how you choose to use that tool is a reflection of who you believe you are, or maybe more accurately, who you are consistently practicing being. And the concept that I think captures this best is the power of the tiny vote.
I really want to spend some time on this tiny vote mechanism, because I think it moves the whole conversation away from guilt and shame and towards agency and power. So how exactly does a purchase become a vote?
Think about your identity not as this fixed, static thing, but as a collection of your habits.
Okay.
Every small action you take reinforces a belief you have about yourself. So if you consistently show up for yourself in these tiny ways, your identity actually starts to shift. So when you look at your bank statement, you're not looking at expenses. You're looking at where you cast your votes this month.
That's a huge reframe.
It is. So if you're spending on therapy or books or an online course to get better at your job, you are casting powerful votes for the identity of, I am someone who heals. I am someone who grows. I prioritize my competence and my mental health. And those votes, they compound over time into the solid identity of a lifelong learner or a healthy individual.
So let's make it concrete. If my goal, my value is stability, and I set up a small, $50 automatic transfer to a savings account every month, what vote am I casting, even if that amount feels totally minuscule?
You are casting a consistent, recurring vote for the identity. I am someone who takes care of future me. And that $50 vote, done automatically every month, is infinitely more powerful than a sporadic, huge transfer you make only when you feel guilty.
Because it's the consistency.
It's the consistency that proves the identity. You are practicing being a stable person. It's the habit, not the amount.
And what if someone's core value is, say, connection or generosity? How does that show up in the votes?
Well, then consistent giving becomes the evidence. Whether that's a small monthly donation to a cause you care about, or deliberately supporting local small businesses instead of a huge chain, or even just being the person who consistently pays for the coffee when you meet up with a friend. You're casting votes for the identity. I am someone who is generous, I value my community, and I see my money as a tool for connection.
Okay, so let's flip it. What about the votes we don't mean to cast? The late night takeout, the regrettable scrolling purchases, because that's what people usually see a lot of.
And those votes are just as powerful, unfortunately. If you consistently use money for these short-term fixes, the impulse buy that temporarily fills a void, you are consistently casting votes for the identity. I'm someone who self-soothes with money. I am someone who defaults to comfort when I'm stressed. The money is just reinforcing the habit of emotional reaction rather than intentional action.
So the money mirror exercise is simply about looking at the collected evidence of all those votes, good and bad.
Exactly. And the most critical thing I tell people who are absolutely terrified to even look at their bank app is this. That transaction history is not judging you. It is just reflecting your current operating system.
I like that, operating system.
It's so neutral. It's just showing you the evidence of your habits, your current coping mechanisms, and the season of life you're in. It's information. It is not a verdict on your personal worth. And once you can accept it as neutral information, then you can actually use it to make changes.
That's such a compassionate framing. Okay, let's analyze the gap then. Why is it so incredibly common for the person who says, I value travel, I value stability, to have a transaction history that just screams Amazon, Uber Eats, and forgotten subscriptions? What are the big reasons for this disconnect?
This is the core behavioral science problem, and it really comes down to four powerful forces that are always prioritizing the short term over the long term. The first, and I would argue the most dominant one, is autopilot spending. This is where we can talk about System 1 versus System 2 thinking, which is a big concept in behavioral economics. System 1 is your fast, intuitive, emotional brain. It's the one that defaults to what's easy when you're tired or stressed. System 2 is your slow, analytical, intentional brain.
And I'm guessing most of our transactions are handled by System 1 because spending has become so frictionless.
Precisely. It's zero friction. One tap, Face ID, saved card information. You get that hit of instant gratification. You don't have to pause and reflect. The money just flows. So if you're operating on autopilot, you are letting System 1, your immediate need for comfort or convenience, dictate all your choices. It isn't a lack of commitment to stability, it's that the path of least resistance is always spending.
That's a helpful framework. System 1 is screaming for convenience, and System 2, the intentional part of your brain, is just too tired to argue back.
And that leads directly into reason number 2, emotional spending as short-term relief. We are not purely rational creatures.
Not at all.
When we experience stress, boredom, anxiety, loneliness, our brain seeks the quickest possible way to change that internal state. And guess what? Spending provides a small, reliable hit of dopamine. In that moment of distress, you are not thinking, does future me want this? You're thinking, how can I feel better in the next 10 minutes? And because that stress is so tangible and immediate, it always screams louder than the abstract, distant goal of future security. Buying that random thing gives you a rush, even if the item itself is totally useless a day later.
And then comes the third powerful force, which is social pressure and comparison. We're social creatures. We're designed for belonging. Our brains are constantly scanning to see what people like me are doing.
Oh, this is a huge one, and it's exacerbated exponentially by social media algorithms. We are constantly being shown these highlight reels, the perfect expensive home decor, the frequent lavish dinners, the exotic trips. The entire commercial ecosystem is designed to leverage this by constantly reinforcing the idea that your current life is insufficient, and that the gap between where you are and where you should be can be solved by buying something.
It's keeping up with the vibes, not just the Joneses anymore.
Exactly. When you see a friend post about a huge purchase or a fancy vacation, you can experience a genuine biological fear of missing out. And that often translates into the impulse to buy something similar, not because you need it, but because you need to signal that you belong to that successful, comfortable group. You're literally spending money chasing a vibe. And the final reason for the gap, the one that requires some deeper internal work, is the influence of our old money stories.
Yes, this is where your personal history crashes right into your present behavior. Many of us carry these unconscious scripts from childhood that dictate how we spend today. For example, if you grew up in a situation of profound scarcity, where money was always tight, fear was high, and you were constantly denied basic wants, as an adult, you might swing really hard into a defensive spending identity.
The I deserve it mindset.
The I buy what I want when I want, because I finally can and no one can tell me no mindset. It's a way of validating your adult success, but it often leads to really reckless overspending because you're always running from the ghost of that childhood scarcity.
And the opposite script exists too, right? The person who hoards and underspends out of fear.
Absolutely. If you grew up where financial ruin felt like it was always just around the corner, or you witnessed a parent lose a job, you might develop a hoarding mindset. You save every penny, you deny yourself any reasonable comfort or joy. You're unable to spend money on things that would genuinely support your present-day values, like rest or meaningful experiences or high-quality tools that would save you time. The money is just hoarded out of fear, which makes it impossible to practice being, say, free or adventurous.
That provides so much crucial context.
Yeah.
So if there's a listener right now who's beating themselves up, asking that question, does blowing my extra money on little things mean I just don't care about my future? How do we address that moral panic?
We tell them. The very fact that you are asking that question proves that you care deeply about your future. Your spending is simply a testament to these powerful systems, autopilot, emotional coping, social comparison, that are all set up to make the present stress scream louder than the future goal. You are not morally deficient. You are fighting against your current environment. The work isn't about fixing your character. It's about fixing your environment and your habits to make voting for future you easier and more automatic.
Okay, that leads us perfectly into section 2. We have defined the problem and the gap. Now we need to define the destination. Who is this future you that we're actually trying to vote for?
The identity is the destination, and we have to define that identity with some specificity before we can ever hope to change our trajectory. These abstract goals like save more money are useless because they don't engage the emotional, identity-driven part of the brain.
So guide us through it. Let's make this future you identity exercise really practical for everyone listening.
Okay. If you're able to, and you're not driving, just relax your shoulders for a moment. Take a deep breath. We're going to visualize future you maybe 5 to 10 years from now.
Yeah.
And don't focus on some lottery win fantasy. Focus on a typical, slightly boring Tuesday.
A regular Tuesday like that.
What's the emotional texture of your life on that Tuesday? When your alarm goes off, do you wake up with that knot of financial dread in your stomach, or do you feel a baseline of calm? How do you feel when you talk about money with a partner or a friend? Is the conversation full of anxiety and avoidance? Or is it stable and just? Matter of fact. Now think about your environment. Where does your money actually go? Is it going towards high interest debt that's keeping you trapped? Or is it primarily funding things that create genuine connection, growth, and rest for you? What do you do for fun? Does future you spontaneously decide to take a class or host a dinner party or book a trip without spiraling into a full-blown panic? So once you've gathered those feelings and those images, here is the most crucial step. You need to distill all of that down into 3 identity words. 3 words that describe future you with money. These words should feel aspirational, but also achievable.
Can we work through some examples? What might those 3 words be for someone?
Sure. They could be calm, generous, and adventurous. So if I'm embodying those 3 words, my spending should start to reflect them. Or maybe for someone else, they're secure, present, and creative. Secure means I have buffers, I have savings. Present means I spend money on quality time now, not just delaying all joy. And creative means I actually fund my hobbies and my creative pursuits.
So the goal shifts. It's no longer my goal is to stick to a budget.
No, the goal becomes my goal is to practice being the kind of person who is secure, present, and creative with my money.
That's identity-based goal setting. You're literally trying on the persona. So how do we make sure these words aren't just nice ideas? How do we translate them into concrete, tiny, repeatable actions someone could take this week?
We have to break the identity down into its smallest possible components. We need to create an easy voting mechanism for each word.
Okay, let's use an identity. Let's say someone chose calm, generous, and healthy. What are the small, immediate actions for those?
For calm, the most calming thing you can do with money is remove manual decision-making. So
Yeah.
the action is set up one automatic recurring payment this week. It could be a bill, or it could be just $20 to a savings account. That single automated action proves you are practicing calmness.
One thing. I like that.
For generous, this is about consistent commitment, not grand gestures. So the action is identify one cause or one person and set up a tiny $5 monthly recurring donation, or commit to bringing a really nice dessert the next time you're invited to someone's house. It's about intentional contribution.
Okay.
Then healthy. For healthy, you need to reverse that comfort-seeking autopilot. The action. Redirect the money you would usually spend on one high-cost, regretted takeout order this week. And instead, you spend that same money intentionally on ingredients for 2 easy, nutritious meals you can make at home. You are voting for future healthy you by making the healthier option easier and more appealing than the default.
I love that. It isn't about total denial. It's about these tiny little nudges that just change the fundamental direction of the money flow.
Exactly. We're changing the trajectory with small weights, not trying to violently jerk the wheel of the car.
Okay, now let's introduce the essential tool for what you call the danger zone, the 2-question spending filter. This is for that moment the listener is tired, stressed, scrolling on their phone, and their finger is hovering over that place order button at 11:30 at night.
Yes, this filter is designed for speed and simplicity. It's meant to engage that analytical System 2 brain just long enough to interrupt the System 1 autopilot. We're not trying to shame the purchase. We're just trying to clarify its actual value to you.
What are the 2 questions?
Question 1 is, does this purchase line up with the kind of person I am trying to become? And you should use your 3 identity words here. And question 2, will I still be glad I spent this money a week from now?
A week from now? That's a good time frame. It's not so far that it's abstract, but it's long enough to get past the initial dopamine hit.
Precisely. If the honest answer is, I'll probably forget I even bought it, then you know it's a momentary hit, not true value.
Let's run this through a couple of specific maybe more complex scenarios, not just the random Amazon cart. Okay, scenario 1. I'm a young professional. My identity words are successful, secure, and free. I'm about to buy an expensive designer blazer for a networking event. It's definitely outside my budget, but I feel like I need it to project successful.
Okay, the immediate feeling is anxiety, right? A feeling of, I need this to belong. Now, you apply the filter. Question 1. Does this blazer line up with successful, secure, and free? Well, if buying it puts $500 on a high-interest credit card, it immediately fails the secure and free tests.
Right. It's actually making you less secure and less free.
Exactly. It's creating future constraint to satisfy a momentary perceived need for success. So the more aligned choice would be to find a less expensive but still high-quality alternative, or maybe even rent one. You're still practicing success, but you're not compromising your security to do it.
Okay, that makes sense. Scenario 2. I'm single. My identity words are connected, calm, and joyful. It's Friday night, I'm feeling lonely, and I'm about to order $45 worth of complicated Thai food delivery, even though I have perfectly good food in the fridge.
The feeling is loneliness and a need for comfort. So does this purchase line up with connected, calm, and joyful? If that Thai food is going to be eaten alone in front of the TV and it's going to leave you feeling sluggish and a little bit guilty about the cost, it honestly fails all three. It provides momentary comfort, but not connection, and certainly not a calm or joyful feeling that lasts.
So what's a more aligned choice in that moment?
A more aligned choice for the same $45 might be: text a neighbor and ask if they want to split a simple pizza, and then put the remaining $20 toward a fund for a planned weekend visit with a friend you really truly cherish. You're voting for connection, not just coping.
The filter just forces that necessary pause, that reevaluation.
It just redirects the emotional impulse toward a more intentional outcome. The money still gets spent, but it serves the identity you're actually trying to cultivate.
This leads us right into section 3, defining aligned action and overcoming the fear of deprivation. Because if we're supposed to be voting for future you, we need to be really clear on what that aligned spending looks like versus the misaligned, regretful kind.
Aligned spending is simply any money that serves your defined values. It makes your long-term life easier or richer, not harder or emptier. And it's easy to spot once you have your identity words. If your word is growth, then paying for that coaching session or the industry conference is totally aligned. If your word is health, spending on quality running shoes or the copay for a therapist is aligned.
And if your word is security,
Then paying down high-interest debt or funding your retirement account is profoundly aligned. It's spending that feels like an investment in yourself. The immediate feeling is competence and peace, not guilt.
and misaligned spending is what?
Misaligned spending is typically anything that makes you feel worse afterward. The impulse orders clicked out of numbness, the subscriptions you forgot you even owned, the food delivery that blows the budget and adds to your stress, or, and this is a really key one, any purchases made solely to keep up a false image or to seek external validation. If it consistently leaves you drained, either financially or emotionally, it's misaligned.
Okay, let's tackle that fear of deprivation head on, because a lot of people listening will hear this and think, okay, so this means I have to become the boring, strict friend who never says yes to anything fun. They're afraid of isolation and FOMO.
That fear is completely valid, and it's something we have to address, because if any plan feels like punishment, it will fail.
100%.
Spending like future. You should not feel like deprivation. It should feel like intentional prioritization. The problem isn't fun. The problem is default fun. Right now, you might be defaulting to, say, 90% impulsive, low-value spending, because it's easy, and only 10% intentional, high-value spending, trying to jump to 100% intentional overnight. That's what creates the scarcity and the stress.
So the solution is just shifting the proportion, not eliminating fun entirely.
Exactly. We're just aiming for a shift. Maybe your first goal is 60% intentional, 40% spontaneous and joyful. You move the money from the low-value, regretted impulse buys, that $15 random item from Target, and you redirect it to fund the high-value, remembered experiences.
Like the planned concert or the nice dinner out with people you actually love.
Yes. You're choosing your yeses carefully. You are replacing accidental fun with intentional joy. It's the difference between buying 5 cheap t-shirts you hate and saving that money to buy one high-quality piece that you genuinely love and feel amazing in. The joy is qualitatively different.
Okay, but how do we handle the social pressure? The friend who's constantly inviting you to the expensive dinner when you're trying to practice being secure and calm. We need those practical scripts.
The key is to be simple, kind, and firm, and to anchor your no to your intentional choice. So instead of saying, ugh, I can't afford it, I'm so broke, which is very disempowering, you use positive framing.
Like what?
You could say, that sounds amazing, but I'm skipping big dinners out this month because I'm prioritizing saving for X, whether that's a trip or paying off debt or just my emergency fund. But I'd love to join for a cheaper activity like coffee or a hike instead.
That reframes you as someone who is actively pursuing a goal, not someone who's just perpetually suffering.
It connects your decision to your chosen identity. You're saying, I am the kind of person who prioritizes travel, or I am the kind of person who is becoming debt-free. That is powerful validation for your new identity, both for you and for them.
Let's focus on the 3 tiny shifts now. Let's make sure they feel incredibly achievable for anyone listening.
Okay, the 3 tiny shifts are really the backbone of identity change. They're small, repeatable behavioral hacks that change your money story one transaction at a time. So, shift 1. Redirect 1 or 2 impulse purchases per week into a future me bucket.
What does that look like in practice?
It relies on the psychological principle of substitution. You're not eliminating the money, you're just moving it to a more aligned vote. So you catch yourself before you order the $12 coffee delivery or buy the $20 gadget on Amazon. You take that exact $12 or $20 and you manually move it from your checking account into a savings account or a debt fund. You're transforming a vote for stress relief into a vote for security. And that intentional transfer makes the act feel really powerful.
That physical act of moving the money feels like agency.
It does. It reinforces that you're the one in control. Okay, shift 2. Swap one mindless spend for a values-based spend. Look at where you typically spend money that leaves you feeling empty. Maybe it's fast food lunches or a stream of disposable clothing from Shein. Instead of buying that cheap item, you consciously decide to spend that equivalent amount of money on something that actually supports your growth. So instead of a $25 random purchase, you put that $25 toward a fitness class or a necessary book for your career or a babysitter so you can get an hour of genuine, uninterrupted rest.
You're prioritizing competence and replenishment over just consumption.
Yes. You're taking money away from clutter and you're giving it to capital. Human capital, emotional capital, professional capital. And finally, shift 3. Set up one small automatic payment that feels like a powerful vote for future you.
This one feels like the most important.
It's the most effective because it removes the need for willpower or motivation. You just decide on one small amount, $25, $50, whatever feels painless, and you set it to automatically transfer every payday into an emergency fund or an investment account.
That automation turns the vote for future me into a non-negotiable part of your monthly financial identity.
Exactly. It's a foundational statement. It says, I'm someone who takes care of my future no matter what. That automatic transfer happens whether you feel motivated or stressed or tired. It just happens.
The power really is in making that one tiny change that bypasses all the stress and the emotional autopilot.
It's always consistency over quantity. Always.
Okay, let's move into our final section, which is all about confronting financial shame. We know this topic is so emotionally loaded, and the goal of looking at your bank account to change your behavior can so quickly spiral into self-criticism.
Oh, absolutely. If you feel that physical tightening in your chest when you open your bank app, that feeling of sickness in your stomach, you are not alone. That shame comes from viewing your transactions not as neutral data, but as a report card on your moral character.
And the shame paralyzes people. It ensures they don't look at their money, which then guarantees they just continue the same misaligned behaviors.
It is a vicious, vicious cycle. Shame demands perfection, and when perfection is impossible, the result is avoidance, and then even more reckless behavior to cope with the shame. The antidote is radical compassion and reframing the moment as a money mirror moment, not a courtroom trial.
So how do we do that?
We have to replace self-criticism with curiosity. So instead of asking, why am I so stupid with money? You ask, what was past me trying to solve with that purchase?
Let's give the listener a step-by-step guide for that gentle money mirror exercise, something they can try tonight without spiraling into that shame pit.
Absolutely. We need to lower the stakes significantly. Step 1. Define a small window. Don't look at the last 6 months. Please, just look at the last 7 to 14 days. This is a snapshot, not a biography.
Okay, 7 days. I can do that.
Step 2. Scroll with a mantra. You open your app, you scroll slowly, and you repeat this phrase to yourself. This is information, not a verdict on my worth. This is just data. And focus on your breathing. Step 3. Mark your wins. You have to do this first. Highlight or just mentally acknowledge 3 to 5 transactions that felt genuinely aligned. Did you pay a bill on time? Did you buy high-quality groceries for a planned meal? Did you make that small automatic transfer? You have to celebrate these votes for future you.
Starting with depositing data points, that's key to counteract the shame spiral.
It totally changes the emotional tone of the whole exercise.
Okay, step 4. Now you mark the misaligned points. Identify 3 to 5 transactions that felt regrettable. The impulse buy, the Uber Eats order you didn't even enjoy. But don't linger on them, just note them. Step 5. Replace criticism with curiosity. This is the big one. Instead of judging, you ask that crucial question. What stress or emotion was I feeling or trying to avoid in that moment? Was it exhaustion, loneliness, a desperate need to feel successful for a minute? This shifts the entire story from I am reckless to I was using the quickest tool I had to cope with stress. And finally, step 6. Plan a single, small alternative. You just ask, if I could replay that exact moment, what is one small, more aligned choice I could have made instead? Not a total overhaul, just one better tool. Maybe the alternative to the impulse buy was spending 5 minutes calling a friend or just transferring that money to savings instead.
So you're reframing the past not as failure, but as market research for the future.
Precisely. You're learning your triggers so you can be prepared for them next time. Okay, let's wrap all of this up with the weekly alignment challenge. We need a clear, actionable program for the listener to start practicing their new identity immediately.
This challenge is designed to be ridiculously simple so that there's no excuse for avoidance. It turns all this awareness into consistent, intentional action over just 7 days.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, the weekly alignment challenge. Step 1, choose one identity word for the week, just one. So if your 3 words are calm, generous, and secure, maybe this week is just calm. You are practicing being a calm person with your money. Step 2, decide on one concrete money action that matches that word. So if your word is calm, your action might be finally reconciling your bank account or setting up one auto pay. If your word is generous, your action is planning one intentional small gift or act of giving. If your word is free, your action is canceling one forgotten subscription.
Clear, small, and totally achievable. I love it.
Step 3. Commit to redirecting 1 or 2 potential impulse purchases this week into that identity-based action. You are essentially using the money you save from avoiding autopilot to fund your new identity. The $15 impulse buy becomes $15 transferred to your calm fund. And step 4, at the end of the 7 days, assess the feeling. You just ask yourself, how did that week feel? Do I feel even 5% more like the person I'm trying to become? Did I feel less dread or more competence?
That feeling is the reward, not the balance in the account, but the feeling itself. That's the proof the identity is sticking.
It is the ultimate metric. We are aiming for emotional wealth, not just net worth.
Before we sign off, I want to address that final layer of paralysis. The listener who feels like they've messed up their money so badly for so long that it's too late to start now.
I cannot emphasize this enough. You are not alone. And you are never, ever too late to begin building a different relationship with your money. So many people, myself included, spend decades struggling before these concepts finally click. The biggest financial hurdle for most of us is emotional, not mathematical. You can choose differently today. Your past spending is not a moral failure. It is simply a detailed record of how you were trying to survive and cope with the tools you had at the time.
That reframing is everything. We're giving ourselves permission to evolve.
Yes, start from right here. Pick the one thing from this conversation that helps future. You breathe just a little bit easier this week. That tiny vote is where your whole trajectory changes.
All right, let's bring this deep dive to a close with a full recap. Today, we spent a lot of time establishing that your transaction history is a money mirror, a reflection of your habits, not a verdict on your worth. We emphasized that every dollar you spend is a tiny vote for the version of you are prioritizing. We guided you through defining your future. You with 3 core identity words, like calm or secure or adventurous, and we stress that your goals have to be identity-based.
We also dissected those 4 huge gaps that keep us stuck. Autopilot spending, emotional spending, social comparison, and those old money stories.
Then we armed you with the 2-question spending filter for the danger zone to make sure your purchases are intentional, not automatic. We detailed the power of the 3 tiny shifts: redirecting impulse money, swapping mindless spend for values-based spend, and setting up one small automatic payment.
And we wrapped it up with that compassionate framework of the gentle money mirror and the simple weekly alignment challenge.
If you take away only a few ideas, what should they be?
I'd say 5 things. 1, Your transaction history is just information. It's a mirror, not a judgment. 2, every dollar is a vote, so start casting more votes for the version of you actually want to be. 3, consistency beats intensity. Always. Redirecting $15 a week is powerful. 4, you can practice being future you right now with small, intentional amounts of money, no matter what your bank account says. And 5, shame is a terrible financial advisor. Approach your money with curiosity and compassion instead.
My big takeaways are: number 1, aligning your spending doesn't mean becoming boring. It means choosing high-value joy over low-value regret.
Yes.
Number 2, future you is not a fantasy. They are the cumulative result of all these stacked, aligned choices starting this week. And number 3, you are allowed to look at your money with detachment and say, past me was just coping, but present me gets to choose.
Beautifully said.
So here is your challenge for the week. Try the full 4-step alignment challenge. Look at the last 7 days of transactions, choose one identity word, decide on one small concrete action that supports that identity, and then commit to redirecting just 1 or 2 impulse purchases to fund that new action.
You really deserve to feel that profound peace that comes when your money and your values are finally on the same team.
Your past spending is not a confession you have to carry forever. It's just the starting point for the new story you choose to write.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you. This is incredible. Go cast one tiny intentional vote for future you with your money this week, and we'll talk to you in the next deep dive.